Review copy provided by Sega. Now, Sumo Digital has to be one of my favorite developers that has ever worked with Sega. What they did for assisting Outrun 2's Xbox port, and of course, the brilliant Sega All-Star series, they clearly have a love and passion for all things Sega related. When they announced that their next racer was going to be focused only on Sonic, I was hopeful, but a little skeptical. But I can proudly say that TSR, while lacking in skillful play, is still a solid and fun racer that is worth playing. Now, Team Sonic Racing differs from what Sumo is previously known for. Instead of a huge crossover between other big Sega franchises, they decided to make a Sonic-only kart racer with its own mechanics and storyline. If you played the All-Star Racing games, then TSR should be second nature at first. Of course, you have driving, doing flips in the air, and a game incentivizing drifting. However, you'll notice the difference immediately as you look around, because the main focus of this title is team-based racing. Instead of every single racer fighting for first, the 3 players of the team want to get the top positions. To do this, they have to work together to stay with the pack, help each other in dire situations, and pass around items to each other. Whichever teammate is in the lead will have a yellow trail that others can use as a boost to keep up with them. When you follow it, you can perform a slingshot to pass on ahead. There's also the skim boost from another player if a teammate gets hit. Drive close to them and they will recover and be back up with you. Not to mention, item usage differs a bit here, as you can get an item and decide to whether either use it or pass it to another teammate. Doing this can make the item stronger, helping them give it back up with you depending on how you use it.
All I just mentioned builds up your ultimate gauge, and once you're fully charged up, you can blast off and devastate all who are in your way. Teamwork matters in building this meter up, so build it up ASAP and time it correctly to avoid some of the buffed items.
Unfortunately, this has led to one of the more controversial choices that Sumo decided to add, which is uncertainty in outcome. Simply put, while Transform was more skill-based, Team Sonic is more luck-based. They did this by buffing some of the item counterparts from Transform to TSR. Swarms are replaced by Quake, and are much harder to avoid. I mean, I've had to slow down to try to avoid them. Hit stun has increased to put you at a complete stop, and the only way to recover from that is via skim boost from another player. Defensive options like Ghost and Invincibility are much less common, even when you're in first. Not to mention, certain power-ups can only be picked up by the other types of characters or by passing along to another player. Now, this can be the kiss of death for any other game, but here I am actually okay with it. The skill-based gameplay is somewhat present, but slightly different this time around. Like I said, you want to work together with teammates in order to avoid the enemy wisp. However, you shouldn't be expected to carry a teammate or have them carry you. Move together as one unit. There is only so much of someone in first can do, other than just throw items or keep a trail easy to follow. I actually played a few matches with my friends and family, and while my sister and I were able to team up and get in front nicely, my parents and friends usually lagged behind because they couldn't have the time to master the mechanics. Or I gave my mom the controller. So your victory depends on who you team up with. All players have to be good as individuals and a team. This also comes down to team composition, which Sumo did take a few hints from that other racer I talked about last time. There are 15 characters, separated into 3 types: speed, technique, and power. Speed characters are generally the best at staying up front. If you like to drift, use this type of racer. And technique characters are more balanced. They are a tad slower, but they can drive off-road and over uneven terrain without losing speed. I personally think that beginners will gravitate towards these types of characters. Now, power characters are self-explanatory. They are slow, but they can knock down certain obstacles on the track without losing speed. Now, doing the former two will get you rings. Now, rings work much differently. They are incentivized to collect because they increase your speed, and there's no level or limit on them. The downside is that if you fail a stunt or get hit, you will lose all of them, but not if you fall. There are a few ways to reduce how you react to situations by customizing your car. This comes into play if you want to change stats for a particular character. You can do this in the garage or before heading off to the races. And the parts you use actually change how your car looks, so it's also good if you want to stylize it to your liking. Froggy Mobile for life! Stages this time around could go good or poorly depending on if everyone knows the track. A fair amount of tracks are reused from past games, but some of the original stages are really well done. Boo's House being a standout example. But the content is a bit lacking here. Like, I do like the stages, don't get me wrong, but I feel that basing 3 stages on a particular theme kinda limits some of the tracks. This is especially noticeable if you try to do all the Grand Prix, which literally just recycles tracks each one. I mean, I don't think we should have gotten 3 tracks based off Planet Wisp or Casino Park. I mean, you have so many of the other games to explore. And yes, I'm complaining that there wasn't stages based off the storybook games or something from Riders. I mean, you could have just remixed Sand Ruins and put that as part of Sandopolis. And yeah, while I like the roster of characters here, I'm still confused in why we still get Zavok. Why don't we have a playable Babylon Rogues or something? Come on, Sega, please give Riders some love, please, I'll suck your... The Team Adventure mode was overall very meh. Now the first problem pre-patch is that someone at Sumo decided to have Square be the button to start a mission with cutscenes and story dialogue. So, a majority of players at launch missed half the story and cutscenes because someone didn't use common sense. This was changed in patch point 102, but it sucks that I had to watch the first half of the story on YouTube. Speaking of common sense, Sumo, this is not how to do a loot system. Having the coins be currency collected at the end of each mission or race? Good, prefer that, keep doing that, love it. However, opening them is just tedious. Most games that have loot system like this know if you're going to be there, you're going to have to draw multiple times. So they usually let you draw for multiple items. Take an example for Dragon Ball FighterZ or Guilty Gear Xrd. But not TSR, you have to sit down and mash X for every single item until your mod coins run out. And since some of these show what you got, loading the items just to open them takes a while because it shows you the 3D model and what car part you got. I mean, come on. Something this small should have had more thought into it rather than having players sit through around 20 minutes of opening mod pods just to see what they got. This is just unnecessarily tedious. Okay, sorry I had to go on that tangent. Now, Adventure Mode will have you accomplishing tasks like do a team race, taking down Eggmobiles, and the Daredevil challenges. Throughout the chapters, these challenges and races can get really repetitive. When I criticize the game for content, it shows its face here, especially since you'll be racing through the same tracks over and over again. And then you gotta do a Grand Prix of those same tracks with AI partners. And AI partners usually aren't very smart in this game because they don't factor in the human element. I will say that towards the last chapter of this mode, it actually got kind of fun, and that's because how each one was structured. I'm fine with the model of the adventure mode, but don't make me do a Grand Prix each chapter. It gets boring, especially since a lot of these Grand Prix reuse the same tracks I've already raced on like 5 times already. And if you think the story might save it, it's still kinda weak in structure. But it does feel like the series wants to reestablish itself here. It doesn't really take canon into that much consideration, but introduces Dodonpaw, who's a CEO of a car manufacturer that just makes cars just for the characters to go have fun and race. The story just meanders at times, and doesn't even go anywhere, but the main focus here was on dialogue and quips between the cast. The game itself is chock full of character interactions and voice lines, instead of just reusing files lazily like the All-Star Racing games did, which is a plus. And yeah, some of them can be actually pretty funny. Hey, don't text and drive! While the majority of the new Sonic actors returned for their roles, some of them were recasted. I mean, I don't get it. Why couldn't they get Travis Willingham as Knuckles again?
I'm Travis Willingham and I play Thor.
Oh. Other recasts I did actually appreciate, specifically Erica Lindbeck as Blaze, and it seems like the Sonic community has warmed up to a few of the changes. And what would a Sonic game be without a soundtrack? In originality, we got Crush 40 performing Green Light Ride. Do you know how long it's been since they've done a song for a Sonic game? 10 years. And it was great to hear that booting up this game. Since the majority of the game is filled with Sonic fan service, which I love and appreciate, like I said, please give some love to writers, lots of the tracks are remixes. They brought in a good amount of the modern composers like Jun Sonoe, Hyper Potion, T. Lopes, and new to Sonic is Japanese chiptune artist Toriana.
Wisp Circuit has a groovy sax that makes it sound like it's a great day for racing.
And of course, I love that guitar solo.
There's also tracks where you can literally loop a 6-second part infinitely and I'll end up loving it like Roulette Road. Bingo Party has Toriana going crazy, making for a very strong remix.
And Boo's House has a great Sandopolis mixed in with some spooky themes.
And y'all remix Sand Hill with T. Lopes?
Oh yeah, I forgot to almost talk about online play. I do so many single player games or old games to consider this being a talking point. Online works as intended for a majority of the time now. Making a room and customizing it to what you want is easy, but looking for particular rooms is still a no-go. You have to be friends with the room owner in order to do that. At launch, it was fun to play with fellow Sonic fans, but it is very common for no one to use voice chat like at all. I'm glad it's here and I hope people have made friends with it though. Online play itself has improved with the patches, but at launch when I got the chance to play with Aaron Weber and Katie on livestream, this happened.
Oh no, what's happening? Everyone's leaving the game. No, don't leave the game.
Don't do it.
Oh, is it just because they're finishing a race? No, I don't think so. Is it angry that we're all Knuckles? Is it kicking us?
I don't know. Oh, that's because everyone got kicked out.
Oh no! Yeah, everyone's just Knuckles now. It's just turned us all into Knuckles. It's kicked us all out.
So now you'll see the leaderboard and you'll have no idea because it'll just be Knuckles.
It's just gonna be all Knuckles. Yo, Sonickick 120.
You did it.
You stayed in there somehow. We're impressed. You stayed in. Sonickick's like, is it just me? And yeah, it is, dude. You're the only one left in there.
Jokes aside, I do remember this being a problem in Transformed. Not sure if it's a problem with the engine or the servers themselves. You can't perfect everything at launch, and like I said, it's much better in post-patch. And on console you shouldn't run into any problems now. By the way, this is my PSN. Hit me up if you want to play sometime. I would love to do more live streams of this game. The online exclusive modes like Boost Race and Vampire Race are actually pretty fun. I don't know why that you can't do these type of races locally. I mean, both of these type of races are more skill-based, and I think people would appreciate that more. Honestly, the only way we can get more content for TSR is if Sega is convinced by the sales to make some DLC. Mostly because Weber did state that there was no DLC planned. Or I personally think TSR should get an arcade port with some new content to gauge a bit more interest, then bring that said content to the console version. I mean, all we have for Sonic arcade games currently is the Olympic Games, and racers are easy for the casual consumer to understand. So if Sega can afford that, I think they should go for it. Now I have no idea how arcades work honestly, it's just a suggestion. Also, while you're at it, bring that new Daytona to consoles, please. One thing I do recommend at the moment, by the way, is getting the game on PS4 or Xbox One. I'm not sure if the other versions were outsourced, but from what I've seen on Twitter, the Switch and PC versions act weird at times. I mean, heck, the Switch version didn't even have enough space to fit the intro, and there's no plans to put it back in. And you cannot make parties for online matchmaking on the Switch and PC version. However, Team Sonic Racing is still a fun game. I was impressed in how Sumo took the groundwork in some aspects, and I'm happy the game is doing very well, even hitting #1 in UK sales charts. So congrats on that, Sega. This is definitely a fun game to play with friends and family, even when they don't know what they're doing. But part of me still does miss the skill-based racing that Transformed had and how balanced the mechanics were there. I'm not asking to fundamentally change TSR to make it transform, that would be impossible. But if you're gonna keep some longevity to TSR, make some content for it. The game is still great. Luck-based gameplay with hints of skill is still a fun time. Little off topic here, but one thing I will say about the Sega of America and Europe division is that y'all been doing really good so far with keeping up the Sonic brand. The live streams, promotional materials, willingness for feedback, and your overall attitude towards this franchise has made me come back to it more times than I could count. So keep it up, guys. But for everyone else watching, if you like Sumo's racers, Sonic, and are just looking for a great racer to play with friends cooperatively, pick this one up. Get ready to show those creeps the real superpower of teamwork. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Just a few updates I want to give out. I plan to have 1 or 2 videos out before Independence Day. Reason being is because on July 5th through the 7th, I'm going to be at RTX in Austin, Texas. Hopefully I'll see some of you there, or none of you there, or maybe someone who's watching this video. I don't know. Not to mention next week, Hog and Hyena will be starting No More Heroes, so check my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Sonickick for that. And then I'll be going on a quick hiatus because right after RTX, I will be heading to Hawaii. So hope to have some fun there and to relax. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.